What's going on, y'all? I'm Ash Innovator, the designer DP, coming at you with the best damn cinematography channel ever. Can I get an amen? Amen. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right, y'all, big shout out to the congregation. So today I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about light meters and how to use them to nail your Rec709 dynamic range exposure. You know, I actually got a request to do this video. My man Bruce, shout out to Bruce from Bruce Videography Services. He asked me if I can make this video to go over light meters and how to use them effectively. So big shout out to Bruce. Thanks for asking, and I hope this is useful for you, brother. So this is my light meter. I don't go anywhere without it. Well, any set without it. This is a Sekonic 758 Cine. I've been using this since about 2010 is when I purchased it. Now, you know, they have different light meters, some that are a lot fancier than this one, but this is mine and I love it, and I don't plan on getting a new one anytime soon. So it has a couple features. The main features that I use are the spot meter and the incident. And this is your incident meter. This is a globe right here, and you can, you know, this is for measuring flat surfaces, this is for measuring round surfaces, and then you have the more useful, which is what I actually use on a more consistent basis, which is the spot meter. And you just kind of put your eye through here and you push this button, and that's how you measure exposure when you're using a spot meter. Like I said, it's a pretty basic device, but it has all the things you need in order to smash your exposure time and time again. So let's say I wanted to do an incident reading, and you know, I got my light up here, which is just kind of hitting me directly. So I put this on the incident reading, got the globe out because my head is round, and I point this to the light right here, take a reading, and this is a f8. All right, so we know the exposure of the light coming onto my face is an f8. But what we don't know, what this isn't telling us, is what's bouncing back onto the sensor. So that's a whole nother thing, right? Like, you have the light that's hitting my face, but not telling me what my sensor is reading based on the reflective properties of my face. Does that make sense? And that's actually what's most important, and that's when your spot metering tool comes into play. I usually use a good balance of both, especially like when I'm lighting skin tone. So say I have a darker person, then I have a brighter person, right? Like, a bright person is gonna bounce off more light to your sensor than a dark person. But if you try to, you know, do a spot meter, then because their skin is so dark, no matter how much light you put on there, it's still gonna read kind of dark. But the more light you put on there, the more ashy and kind of nasty looking it starts to look, because, you know, black skin, it doesn't absorb light, it just kind of like bounces it off. So, you know, when you start to hit it too hard with light, it just starts to look like real ashy and reflective. So, you know, I usually kind of just judge my balance. Like, I might, you know, if I have a darker person, I might bring the light up a little bit, not to a crazy level. So I just kind of feel it out to see where I'm at. All right, let's get into the nitty gritty and learn how we can use this light meter to nail your exposure on your image. I'm gonna skip over calibrating your light meter because that's a whole video in itself, and I just wanna get into exactly how to use this thing. Before you get started, you have to know your final output. And more than likely, your final output is gonna be a Rec709, right? I mean, it could be a Rec 2020, but more than likely you're shooting something, you plan on people watching it on TVs or computer monitors on their phone, and the color space there is all like a Rec709. So that's what you should plan on your final output being prepared for. They say Rec709 has 6 stops of dynamic range. Now, I think that's a little harsh. I like to pretend that I think it has 7 or 8. So that means that when I'm shooting and I'm exposing my image with my light meter, the darkest part of my image should be no more than 3 stops under key, and the brightest part of my image should be no more than 3 stops over key. So let's say I'm at a T4, as I'm gonna show you with this demo, right? If I'm at a T4, that gives me 5.6, 8, and 11. 11 should be my brightest. And then my darkest should be, let's say I'm at a T4, that's 2.8, that's 2.0, and then 1.4. My darkest shadow should be at a 1.4. So that gives you a 1.4 for your darkest and an f11 for your brightest highlight. According to a Rec709 color space, everything out of there is gonna be crushed. And yeah, you know, you can have your colorist dig for the exposure somewhere else, assuming that you shot it on like a good camera or something, but why even go through that, right? Why not just clear yourself of the hassle anyway and shoot it right, shoot it within the Rec709 color space and just be good to go, no matter where you want to deliver this project. You shoot within those specs, you can color and grade this project any which way you want and it's gonna look amazing. Like, you're not gonna lose any information, everything will be there. You can do every and anything you wanna do creatively. You will nail your exposure every time and your images are gonna thank you for it. And so is your colorist. So check out my man T. So you see on the shadow side or the fill side, whatever you wanna call it, on my spot meter, he is currently at a 1.4. Now on the left, his warm side or his key side or whatever you wanna call it, I hate that term key because I feel like it's not a definitive term. It's just the term used for the light side. And since a lot of cinematographers like to film into the shadows, you can't really call that part a key light. I don't know, it's a little bit of a tangent anyway. But the left side of his face, or the light side, is a F4, or T4, whatever you wanna call it. Now, my backlight, which is the brightest part of the image, is at a F8, right? So that means my backlight is 2 over key and the shadow side is 3 under key. Now, I know me personally, I love filming deep into the shadows. So for anybody that likes things a little less contrasty, I'm gonna bring this up from a 1.4 to a 2.0, so that brings this up a whole stop. You know, like if I look through my spot meter and try to check the exposure of his pajamas, they're gonna be much darker. But at the end of the day, the pajamas are black, right? So I don't need to be bringing out much detail in those at any point in time. So we can leave it there. But now check out Tyler's hand right there. Now, unintentionally, his hand is the brightest part of the image. It is spot metering at an F11. That is 3 stops over key. And look how bright it is. We're in a Rec709 color space. We are nearly losing information there. It is nearly blown out. We're shooting on an Arri Alexa. Okay, so watch this. I'm gonna open my aperture to a 2.1, which is as wide as it goes, right? So now I'm at a 2.1. Pay attention to this hand. So that's 2.8, which is a half a stop, 4, 5, 6, 8, 11. 4.5 stops over. 4.5 stops over and his hand is blown out. We have lost information. It is gone. It is just straight white. Let's bring it into Resolve to see if we can recover some of that info. Nope, that thing is clipped, gone, sayonara. And don't forget, we're shooting on an Arri Alexa, right? Lots of dynamic range here, lots of latitude, 14 stops. So let's get into the shadows since we're talking about dynamic range and how well the sensor reads into those shadows. So I'm gonna put my aperture at a F8. Now remember, Tyler's shadow side is at a 2.0. I didn't even tell you, but the walls are at key, so they're at 4. So that means I'm 3 to 4 stops under. So let's go into Resolve and see how much detail remains in these shadows. I don't know if you can see, but we're starting to introduce a little noise. So in this image right here, I've matched the exposure globally, and you can see we're introducing some noise. It's not as clean. I'm matching what we shot at F8 with what we shot at F4. So now I'm gonna go to a F11. My shadows are 4 to 5 under, and let's see how this reacts. Just look at what starts to happen when I try to match this with an F4. Did it capture all that information with the crazy dynamic range? Whoa! Shoot! Okay, that just scared the shit out of me. I was not ready. He was not ready for that. That shit scared me. All right, let's get back to it. All right, so let's go to F16 and let's pump up the gain. How's this image looking? Is it looking good? Do we look like we caught all that crazy dynamic range? All right, and here's F22. And we're gonna pump up the gain a little bit just to see what we can still see in the shadows and all that. And this is exactly why light meters are so important, so you can know what's hitting your sensor and expose for the bottleneck of your output, not your camera's capabilities. Alright y'all, I hope this video really helps you nail your exposure time and time again. Once again, I'm Ash Innovator, the designer DP, coming at you with the best damn cinematography channel ever. If you like what you see, give me a like, give me a subscribe, holla at your boy on Instagram, I'm Ash_Innovator, and tune back in for some more, y'all.